As it stands right now, the Seattle Mariners don't have anybody in the MLB All-Star Game. And now that's a little bit of an overreaction because it is the popularity contest of the fan vote to start, but there are no finalists for MLB All-Star Game starters for the Seattle Mariners. Luis Castillo could very well end up being the starting pitcher for the All-Star Game for the American League side, but realistically, he'll probably be part of that rotation no matter what, right? Another guy that I think is developing a sneaky good campaign for an All-Star bid is Teoscar Hernandez. Teo, the big offseason trade. We all knew the expectations coming into this season, and starting out in March and April and even into May, it wasn't really looking like he was doing what we wanted him to. In April and March, Teo only hit 209, 248 with a 427 slugging and a 675 OPS. For a slugger that's supposed to be the fourth, maybe fifth hitter in your lineup, power guy, wasn't really seeing it from Teo on a consistent basis. He did slug 7 home runs in those, first 28 games, but there was no really consistency at the plate. He was striking out a ton. He still is, and that's the biggest bugaboo with Teo, is that his strikeouts are, pretty high. He leads the team, and he damn near leads the league if it wasn't for Matt Olson. But Teo, he's turning it around in June, and he's having an amazing June. But we need to talk about May before we get there. He brought his batting average up from 209 in April and March to 252 in May. However, he only hit 2 home runs in May. His OPS was basically the same, even though his batting average went up 50 points. So as far as Teo was looking through 58 games between March to May, it wasn't really looking great for an all-star bid. He entered June with a 230, 268, a 396 slash with a 665 OPS, and he was striking out at 33.8% of the time. That's just not conducive to, one, being an all-star caliber player, but also being the slugger in the middle of the lineup that the Mariners so desperately needed. Now we're in June, the month where Teo seemingly always heats up, and this is true from last year as well. Granted, he was coming off an injury in May 2022, where he only hit 151 through 19 games, and then in June he managed to turn it around through 26 games, hit 327 with a 357 OBP, a 608 slugging, and a 965 OPS. He slugged 6 home runs and drove in 20 RBI. Teo heats up in the month of June. It's just a fact at this point. We've got 2 years running of this, and his slash line so far in June through 18 games is 353 with a 413 OBP, a 647 slugging, and a 1060 OPS. That's actually crazy. Got 5 homers and 15 RBI, and there's still plenty of games to go in the month of June. Looking at the WRC Plus rankings from March 29th to May 31st, Teo was 3rd among Mariners outfielders and 24th in the American League in terms of WRC Plus at 86. For reference, Julio was sitting at a 112 WRC Plus, and Jared Kelenic was sitting at a 135 WRC Plus. Jared Kelenic was top 10 in the league. Teo was hardly in the top 25. But we look at June, and Teo's leading the American League for outfielders in WRC Plus at 196. Let that sink in. He's leading the American League in WRC Plus for outfielders in June so far. Teo, if he can continue this hot streak for the last 2 weeks before the All-Star game, I could see him sneaking his way in for an all-star bid. Whether that's a league-voted one or an injury replacement, Teoscar, if he continues the way he's been hitting, there's no doubt in my mind that he is going to be a Mariners representative for the All-Star game. And if he is, you gosh darn better believe I want them to extend him. Get that contract over to him immediately, because we're finally getting what we wanted out of him. And I don't want to see him walk. I don't want to see us try and scramble to replace a guy who historically has a slow start and then picks it up for the latter half of the year. I'm not going to try and throw out any figures right now, but with how little of a free agent class we've got in 2023, heading into 2024, I could see Teo being willing to extend, and I hope that the Mariners would be willing to do that as well. Looking at the full season right now in terms of WRC Plus, Teo is ranked 14th in American League outfielders. He's still 8 points behind Kelenic in terms of WRC Plus, but with the way their track record has been looking in the last, month, what we're kind of looking at here, Teo should pass JK, unless JK turns it on, But Teo looks like he's going to continue to have success in June and into July. Don't be surprised if Teo creeps into the top 10 here. Now, even with some of the tougher opponents in June, Teo has been taking off. To wrap up the month, we've got the Nationals at home and the first game of the Tampa Bay Rays series. Now, there's only 6 games left as of recording this video, but if he can tee off on the Nationals like he has been against the Yankees and Orioles, there's no way that Teo does not deserve to be in that conversation for an all-star bid for the Seattle Mariners. Now, it did take Teo a little bit of time to settle into his role and figure out his spot on the Mariners team here, but once he did, it really seemed like he figured it out and how to get his bat heated up. Another guy that figured it out for the Seattle Mariners in such a short amount of time was Bryan Woo. Check out this video on the screen right now that I did detailing how Bryan Woo turned around his awful MLB debut. Thank you guys for watching this one, and go Mariners.